Hello again, Guardians. Mangumson here, bringing you another Destiny 2 video. Today we're going to be talking about auto rifles. What are some of the auto rifles that you can put inside of your arsenal that will mimic or even be better versions of the auto rifles that you have grown up with over the years of Destiny? So we're going to start off with precision frames. Precision frames, back in the day, we had the origin story. This is an OG Destiny 2 beginner Vanguard weapon, right? So what made the origin story great? What made it good? So the origin story comes with a default zoom of 16, along with the Ormond's Anvil, right? Comes with a default zoom of 16. So what makes these guns different than the ones that we have now is that the way that they shoot. The closest thing to that you're going to get with those types of weapons with that precision frame archetype is you have the 16 zoom with the 7th SERAPH carbine, and you also have that it feels like it shoots bullets versus if you were using an Amalong or if you were using a Suros type of weapon. Instead of being a bullet hose, it feels like an actual AR, right? So that's what those precision frames are supposed to feel like. That's what gives it that good feeling, is the way that it fires those rounds, right? So next we're going to go into the perks of what makes the 7th SERAPH carbine good. So you can roll it with arrowhead break, you can roll it with the refractor rounds, and you can roll it with pugilist and also with swashbuckler, giving it a damage bonus and giving it some utility into your toolkit. Now the adaptive frames, back in the day we had the forward path. This was an Iron Banner weapon, and what made it good is that it had variable scopes, right? But Bungie has moved away from the variable scope types and went straight into the barrels. Another good comparison too is the Ether Doctor. The Ether Doctor back in the Tangled Shore expansion used to be a bullet hose because it was of that archetype. I want to say the Ether Doctor felt more like a Suros type weapon instead of anything else, right? Because it kind of just said and that's kind of how it came out. The thing closest to that, with having it being the adaptive frame type that it is the last breath that you can get from the dungeon. I want to say it's the Prophecy Dungeon. Yeah, Prophecy Dungeon drops these types of weapons, and the last breath isn't something to sleep on. The last breath actually has a good perk pool. Another gun that feels weird to use but you don't know why is the Duty Bound auto rifle. It's because it comes with that 18 zoom versus that 16 zoom sweet spot, right? Other good weapons that had that was like the CHROMA Rush and all the other auto rifles I'm talking about in this video. Most of them have the 16 zoom. The last breath comes with the 16 zoom. It can go with arrowhead break, armor piercing rounds, dynamic sway reduction, and adrenaline junkie to give you more agency in fights, right? As soon as you kill somebody or throw your grenade, you're going to get that damage bonus in PvE and PvP, right? PvE, PvP. Now, rapid fire frame auto rifles haven't been good since CHROMA Rush, right? So we get the KRAIT auto rifle, and not really many people like the KRAIT. It's kind of a bullet hose and it feels weird to use. Now the CHROMA Rush was all around good because it had that long barrel. That's what I want to say made the CHROMA Rush feel good. That long barrel and its perk pools that it could come with giving it good stability and decent range. The CHROMA Rush is an all-around great weapon, so if you have it, still use it. Now the thing that's closest to that is going to be the Quicksilver Storm. Again, it comes with that long barrel and it comes with that 16 zoom, but you also get the high caliber rounds along with the rocket, and it works with Strand coming up in Lightfall. So if you want something to use besides the CHROMA Rush, go with the Quicksilver Storm or swap between the two, because they're both varied and good weapons all around to use, because Quicksilver Storm with Strand, CHROMA Rush with its perks with Thresh and Adrenaline Junkie and all that. It's an overall good weapon. So the HALFDAN-D, the high impact frames, was really good. So the HALFDAN-D came with that 16 zoom. That 16 zoom is the sweet spot. Combining that with armor piercing rounds to give it that increased range, and combining it with Outlaw just made it a really good high impact auto rifle. Now the False Promises came out, and False Promises felt kind of weird. It shot like laser beam, but it just felt something was wrong with it, and that's because the zoom on it went up to 20. And you weren't able to change the scope of the False Promises. So it was like, if you liked it, you liked it, but if you didn't, you kind of like the Ringing Nail. So the False Promises was before or during the Ringing Nail era. So if you were using that type of weapon, you were leaning into an archetype with heavier zoom. So if you did like heavier zooms, you probably use snipers or something that had heavier zooms, or overall weapons that had increased zoom because you couldn't see the opponent. Now the Heroic C is a successor to the HALFDAN-D, but it came out, but it didn't come out as good as the HALFDAN because it did come with a 19 zoom. We still couldn't change those scopes on it, and I wish we could, because the Heroic C with a 16 zoom would have been overall fantastic. But then we get the LeBrock C with a 19 zoom with good barrel perks and good synergies overall. It's more accessible to get. It has better perk pools. It has a better all utility kit in order to make it a better high impact auto rifle. Now look at the LeBrock C. Alright, I don't know if I said LeBrock C, but LeBrock C can come with fluted barrel. It can come with the ricochet rounds. That's giving it more and more stability. It's giving it a slight increase to its range and some handling because the gun feels heavy. Now you can go with the perpetual motion, the kill clip roll, in order to give you, I win a gunfight, I'm going to win more. With the changes to kill clip, it gets even better. Now go with the demolitionist adrenaline junkie, throw your grenade, get ammo back in your reserves, continue in the fight. Or go with the 4 times the charm target lock for more sustained DPS on a single target, or shatter those crystals that if you want to pair this with stasis. Now you can go with the dynamic slave reduction or the tap to trigger, and that's going to give you just a laser beam of a heavy hitting, hard hitting. High impacts already come with high caliber rounds like natively to it, so it does do stagger damage to combatants to some extent, right? They're going to increase the stagger damage to combatants significantly, so these high impact frames are going to have a place in the meta when it comes to using stagger damage against minor combatants. Now you have to do a lot for the Heroic C. You got to put on like chambered compensator or arrowhead break. You got to go with the ricochet rounds. You have to go with maybe the dynamic sway reduction, and you possibly have to go with the headstone roll to synergize with your stasis, or go with moving target in order to give you more agency over when you are moving and getting those kills. Multi-kill clip, frenzy, demolitionist, all this other stuff. It's just got a lot of stuff going on with it, but you gotta really play Gambit to get these multi-perk rolls with this gun in order to make it work for you, versus going to the helm right now and tapping on the button and trying to get a god roll LeBrock C. The Heroic C, just if you like it, you've leaned into it, but if you don't, then it's not worth really getting, because even putting on the all the perks that you can put on for the stability and the range and all that, it's just, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I wouldn't worry too much about it. My workhorse. Now getting into the precision frames for the energy weapons, right? If you remember the Jangishi era, the Jangishi AR4 was absolutely incredible, right? So the Jangishi's in the same class as like Uriel's Gift. Now the adaptive frames for the most part in the energy slot have been getting shafted. You got weapons like the Galliard 42, or you ended up getting the Galliard 42 XN 75 68. Well, they all sucked. They were all bad weapons, because the Suro's guns, they don't shoot just right. There's something bad about it. But then you get the Summoner, right? Trials weapon, adept frame, solar goes with your builds, comes with alacrity, rampage, dynamic sway reduction. Is just too good to pass up, but you gotta play Trials of Osiris to get it, and a lot of people aren't going to get the Summoner because it's in Trials of Osiris. And it came back way back when Trials was not a friendly place to be at. Now it's more friendly, you know, you go in there, you play, you get some engrams, you get some things, but the Summoner just it elevates itself above the rest of the adaptive frames, right? It fires well, it shoots good, it feels like bullets are getting put down range. You can go with the arrowhead break. I really like this recoil direction, right? If you haven't seen, I love arrowhead break. And you can get the high caliber rounds. You can go with the dynamic sway, or you can go with the compulsive reloader and the multi-kill clip, or you can go with the dynamic sway reduction and the golden tricorn, or you can go with the I want to say it's the overflow rampage, right? It has so many utilities to it, and it's just a shame that it's in Trials of Osiris and not something similar or akin to the Summoner has ever came out for the adaptive slot, besides you going to go play Trials. Now in the rapid fire archetype, right, we have the Misfit. This came back with Tangled Shore, stuff like that. It kind of shot like the Ether Doctor, but it wasn't quite the Ether Doctor, right? And it was good because it had a long barrel versus the Dark Decider that we could have got way back when that actually felt good, but it was an auto rifle that shot like a submachine gun. And it was a vest frame, so it didn't have all the vestness things to it, but it still was a good weapon to put into practice in the Crucible. It was good. But we ended up getting the Sweet Sorrow. The Sweet Sorrow comes with a plethora of way better options than any of those two could have dreamed of making, right? So again, I like this arrowhead break, right? I'm gonna go with my 100% recoil direction. You can go with the accurized rounds to increase that range. You can go with the Killing Wind in order to increase the range and the handling on it. There's a lot of perks that go with the Sweet Sorrow that just make it above and beyond for a rapid fire in the energy slot that goes well with arc subclasses. Now I'm gonna try to sell you on the Come to Pass. The Come to Pass is a high impact frame. Not many people really like to use it, but there's some things that go with the Come to Pass, giving it that 16 zoom. But you want to think about the perk options that go with the Come to Pass. The Come to Pass is unique in its own right because it can come with some perks that I don't think that many people are using to the full extent of what the Come to Pass brings to the table. With its psychokinesis, it makes the damage output of any target that it puts bullets on lessen, right? So it gives it a almost overload champion type of feel on it. But if you go with an arrowhead break, if you go with steady rounds, you go with shoot the loot and golden tricorn, you are getting a vacuum cleaner for energy and heavy type bricks. You can use to Come to Pass to reach and grab things at ranges that you normally couldn't get. And out of all the perk combinations that the Come to Pass has, that you'd want to lean into the sprint grip, you'd want to get a handling masterwork on it, you'd want the 100% recoil direction, you want to shoot the loot, and you want the golden tricorn. Because if you're using it with your arc subclass and you're using the Come to Pass, then you have infinite ammo with it being a primary. You pick up special and heavy weapon ammo by shooting those bricks, and you get golden tricorn utilizing it with your arc subclasses to give it even up to a 50% damage bonus. But if you don't like Come to Pass, then you probably don't like the Vex MYTHOCLAST, because even though it's a fusion rifle, it is actually in the same archetype as a high impact auto rifle. So if you got the Vex MYTHOCLAST and you're using it and you're just like, I don't know why people like this gun, and it's because those people probably don't, or maybe they don't know it, but they like high impact frame auto rifles, because the Vex MYTHOCLAST fires just like that. It shoots like a Suros weapon. It doesn't feel like a Vexy type of gun, like it should have been a vest type weapon. It has that long barrel like Come to Pass, but it shoots slow and heavy like the Come to Pass. And the only other utility it has to it is switching to a mode to shoot out linear fusion rifle bullets, and we're getting more weapons that do more things at the same time. So let me know in the comment section below if you guys like this comparison of old weapons versus new weapons and what has replaced them or power crap them. I'm going to do the rest of the videos for the scout rifles and the swords and the glaives and all that. So if you guys can't hit the like button if you did make it to the end, I'd like to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.